But now, this week marks 1 year since the death of Paul O'Grady, and tonight a special documentary is celebrating all things Lily Savage.
When he was Lily, you could tell that it was coming from a real place.
I'm glad to be able to get away from my sister, Vera. Because now, you never mind going, have you seen her?
I couldn't think of anything more terrifying than Lily's beady eye landing on you if you were sitting in the audience.
Can some of these occupational therapists deal with this person down here, please?
I hope Lily got away with murder.
Paul O'Grady's friend and Lily Savage's sidekick, Brenda Gilhooly, also features in tonight's documentary, and she joins us now. And Brenda, it's a wonderful, warm, joyful watch of those sort of early days of Paul's career really kicking off. Lily Savage, of course, just became this iconic creature, but you were there at the very beginning of all of that.
Yeah, well, I was. I first met, I think it's well over 30 years ago. And I met Paul at the Hackney Empire. There was sort of Edinburgh Best of the Fest shows, and he'd done the whole first half as Lily Savage, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I was just doing a sort of, short turn in the second half, and I came off stage, and this guy just in a jumper and jeans sort of said, "Oh, hi, I like your act," sort of thing. And I said, "Oh, thanks very much." And we just started chatting away, and sort of about 5 minutes into the conversation, because his voice was so distinct, I said, "Are you Lily Savage?" And he went, yeah, I am. I went, "Oh, my God." And I said, "You're brilliant." And he said, "I do a residency at the Vauxhall Tavern." He said, "Do you want to come down and do a turn?" So I said, OK. So I think that was like about 2 days later. So I went down to the Vauxhall Tavern, which was completely raucous and wild. And it was just mad in the dressing room and sort of, putting wigs on and bumping into each other, people piling the drinks up for when you get off stage. But anyway, it was brilliant. And then we just literally became great mates just from then.
Just from there. And that's what the documentary is about, and it's told through the eyes of his friends like yourself and his family as well. And was really clever. They've managed to make Paul narrate the documentary too, from extracting pieces from podcasts and radio things over the years. It makes it feel so personal. So as much as it's a wonderful watch, also really quite a sad one for his friends and family and those who are closest to him.
I mean, I haven't seen the documentary, and I've just heard about him narrating it. It's his voice as well, which seems so sort of touching and moving. And so, I'll be watching it tonight.
Yeah, an emotional
Yeah, it will be
watch.
emotional. It will be very emotional,
But a lot of joy in it. And the memories, there's so much... Looking back at Lily Savage's career from the very beginning, and suddenly on network television, every show wanted Lily Savage. I remember growing up and just loving Lily. And it became such a part of Paul's life, of course. But he then did decide eventually he wanted to hang the wig up.
Yeah.
And that must have been a really bold and brave move for him at the time, because Lily was so famous and so loved.
Yeah.
But it was just his time, wasn't it? Do you remember that sort of chapter?
I do kind of remember him just doing a few things as himself. I think part of it is probably quite not... Because there was so much Lily and Paul and so much Paul and Lily, and... I think there was probably a little bit of him thinking, "Oh, I can do this without having to put all this stuff on." And his personality he was such a force of nature that I just think it was quite a natural transition to just present his, absolutely incredible personality.
And it just worked. Because he clearly lived with Lily sort of inside of him for such a long time. And you'll see this in the documentary tonight, where he did little doodles as a boy in a book, which his sister kept. And it's very Lily-esque. There's the big eyelashes, there's the big wigs. And these were his personal little doodles, long before Lily came about.
Yeah, well, it's funny because that's in a library book that his sister Sheila found, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because... Sam, the director, showed me when I did my interview. He showed me, and he was a really good cartoonist, Paul. And when I first met him, when he was doing the residency at Vauxhall Tavern, he used to live in Vicky Mansions, which is this sort of big council block quite near. And I would go into the house, and there would be two things going on. There would be costumes and wigs everywhere, but there would be doodles everywhere. He was quite obsessed with Disney, actually, and he was a really great cartoonist.
Okay, and that just continued.
And they were all very Cruella de Vil, and you know, so there was I mean, he must have been about 8 or 9 when he did that. So it was all kind of there in his imagination from a really early age.
And what you really get a sense of is just how kind and loyal he always was. I mean, he was a social worker when he first came to London, which I wasn't completely aware of. So he was doing that alongside the night job.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I think when I met him, I think he kind of stopped doing that, but only not that long ago. Yeah, so he was... he was a social worker. He'd have been a brilliant social worker, I can imagine, because he was so kind and so funny. And, I mean, he used to tell me a bit about looking after children in his care. So,
Yeah, just another sort of layer to him, really, in many respects. You did say in the documentary, though, you couldn't control him.
No.
When he got something in his head, that was it.
Yeah.
And he would change his mind quite a bit sometimes as well, wouldn't he? He'd say, I'm not doing this. And then
completely,
he did it.
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, when you got to know him, you realised that there was a lot of ranting and raving going on, but he never really meant it. Once you were a friend, you realised that it was just Paul, and it would just be funny. But I remember one of the first times I met him, because after doing the Vauxhall Tavern, we went on tour together, and I was his support act. So we'd go up and down the M1, and it was terrible. We'd just go on stage, and we'd just go out partying, get a terrible hangover. The next day, say, we can't go on stage, we can't go. We'd be lying in the wings, and the music would start, and we'd go, oh, my God, we can't do it. And then we just, somehow the music, Dr. Thing would get up. But I remember going into the dressing room once, and we were doing these sold-out 2,000-seaters, and I walked in and he was sort of half in the wig and everything, and I said, oh, all right. And he said, I'm not going on like this. And Brendan, his partner and manager at the time, and just seemed very unfazed. I thought, I can't believe Brendan's being so cool about it. And I was like, I said, but it's a 2,000-seater. It's sold out.
They're coming in.
I said, what about the audience? He went, I won't repeat what he said. And I thought, oh, my God. And I was sort of like sweating and everything. But then he went, oh, all right, I'll go on. And then, of course, he'd go on, do an absolute stormer. And then what he'd do afterwards, he would chat to the audience for hours afterwards, you know, either in the bar or then you'd come out and you'd get into, you know, there'd be a car to take us back to the hotel or whatever. And he'd be just standing, having photos taken, chatting away. So, you know, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it at all.
It was just...
He was always going to go on. He was always going to be absolutely gorgeous.
It was part of the process for him, wasn't it? That's exactly it. He was a superstar. I know this week particularly is tough for his friends and family, of course. Brenda, we are thinking of you at this time, but it's a wonderful documentary, and I think you'll be really pleased with it too. It's very happy and joyful and says a lot about him. The Life and Death of Lily Savage. It airs tonight at 9 p.m. on ITV1. Thank you so much, Brenda. It's great to see you. Thank you.